Hey, Dr. Wendy.
Hey Ricky, how are you?
Good, you're the doctor today because Dr. Mo's not going to be here. She's on a plane, I think. So you're our resident doctor today. It's so funny because people I always say, I'm not a doctor. I just sort of play one on Facebook, and it's not a good thing, right? But I'm so glad you're here because it's time for the doctor is in, and
Yes.
we're so glad you're here with us today, you guys. Dr. Wendy Garvin Mayo is the founder of Collaborative Cancer Care and so many other things. But her practice focuses on providing mental health support for people with cancer. Hello. And I think this is such a great time of year to be talking about this because there's so many bad things. Well, first of all, it's cold. It's freezing.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God, it's 22 degrees, whatever. And so people are stuck inside. But then we have this inauguration day coming up next week. Oh my God, I don't know
Oh
what time.
yeah.
We have sort of the post-holiday, like what do you call it? The post-mortem of the holidays, like everybody's sort of coming down off of that high. And then we have California, where,
Oh yes,
right,
yes.
right? And then add cancer to that. Oh my goodness, right? Oh my goodness. So many
Yeah.
things to talk about kind of the state of our world and what's going on and how to manage the stress of it. And today I had a crazy stressful day. And I hate to use the word stress because I don't believe in, I want to not be stressed. And I practice. So I try really hard not to let things stress me out. But
Right.
I had like a back-to-back day. So not minute to be breathe, right? Um, which happens to us a lot. But I think, let's talk. So tell people who you are and all the wonderful things that you do, and then we can sort of get into the topic. But I'm so glad you're here with me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm always excited to be here because I'm with family. And so I'm Wendy Garvin Mayo. I am a doctor prepared nurse practitioner. I've been in oncology for many years. I can't even count how many years. I've been in oncology in various sectors in the clinic, taking care of cancer patients, diagnosing, treating, managing cancer patients. I've also was involved in research. I was a scientist working on cancer clinical trials. And then last year, I took the leap of really following my passion of really marrying my two loves, one for stress management and the other for oncology. And we launched Collaborative Cancer Care, which is a mental health practice that really provides integrative ways of managing anxiety, depression, adjustment disorder, stress in cancer patients, survivors, and their family members. Um, and Ricky, really doing that was really because what I was seeing in the field, seeing in the
Mm,
clinic,
yeah.
seeing even in clinical trials, mental health is not top of mind. Even though you ask anyone, they'll say, a cancer diagnosis is very stressful, right? It definitely
It is.
impacts your mental health, but we don't do a good job addressing mental health or even just the stress that comes with, a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, when I was diagnosed, and I tell the story all the time, I had a really great nurse navigator and I had really great care. It was Kaiser Care in Atlanta. I don't hear always good things about care, cancer Kaiser, but I think it was like almost a check off the box. Ricky, do you want to see a psychiatrist? And I'm like, I had never thought about that before. I didn't,
Hmm.
like I never thought about mental health or anything. And I was like, well, is it going to help my cancer? Like, is it going to make my
Yeah.
cancer? Well,
Yeah.
but I did it for the first time in my life, and I did therapy, and I did like 5 treatments, and it opened my eyes to so many things because I really do believe stress caused my cancer. I really do.
Yeah. Oh,
Really
yeah.
do. I was the breadwinner for my family. I was the rainmaker for my company. I never said no to anybody. I was always, yes, I got it. I'll do it. I got you. I'll take care of it. I'll handle it. You know what I mean? I was one of these
Right.
people. But the counseling helped me learn that I was enabling all these people to be dependent on me,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that was such an aha awakening moment. And that's when I said, okay, my peace is non-negotiable. What's going to give me peace?
Yeah.
But it took therapy to get me there, to help me realize that, oh my gosh, I'm like probably exacerbating all these situations that are not necessarily really relationships, but situationships,
Absolutely.
right? Right. So It was so valuable. And I think I don't even know that at that point the navigator knew what she was doing for me. I think she was just like, okay, you can do this, so check the box. Do you want to do this? Check the box, you know? So
Yeah.
whatever. But we're so glad that you're doing this, and we've now seen the impact of like just trying to find peace and joy in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I think I don't want to say the stigma about mental health has lifted with Black people. I think people are more receptive. What do you think about that? Do you think because there's been such this stigma about, oh my God, are you crazy? What does that mean? Do you really have to
Right.
talk to her about that? Go to church, right?
Yeah, the stigma still exists in our community of, Black and brown people. However, our practice is uniquely positioned. We have the majority of our clinicians are Black, so that helps.
Yeah.
When they see someone, that looks like them and really care. And, I had a patient the other day, a young man, 40s, pancreatic cancer, came in, and it was kind of like, and he said, I don't know you. And I said, that's okay. You're gonna get to know me because I'm part of your team now, but really meeting people where they are, right? And I always say, when you use the word therapy, and even I was thinking about this today, it's counseling. It's really a conversation. That's what I tell people. It's not just coming in and sitting on a couch or, just telling people your problems. We're solutioning. And to
Yeah.
be honest with you, Ricky, which is very important, which is very interesting, I should say, our practice is curated specifically for cancer patients, survivors, and family members. Many of our clients don't come in here to talk about cancer.
Hello.
And they do not come in here to talk about cancer. They come in here to talk about life. And like you just said, you had a stressful day. Stress exists before cancer. And there are some studies looking at the correlation between stress and cancer because it definitely impacts your immune system. You're not able to um, fight off, viruses and diseases,
Yeah.
the way you would if you were not stressed. So it weakens your immune
Right.
system. Your immune system cannot work. But and then you add cancer on top of that, it just amplifies. It
Yeah. And you
amplifies
can't
the
heal. I
stress.
mean, it also impacts your healing. It
Oh
impacts
yeah,
your
absolutely.
outcomes, your recovery
Absolutely.
time, and everything, right? Because if you're thinking about that, but you know what? You make such a good point because even when you talk to Val and we talk to our friend, our navigator buddies,
Mhm.
Val and Dean and Z, they will basically say, I have to talk about everything else before I can even get to the cancer. Like Z, our buddy in California, she'll
Yeah.
say, the first thing I ask is, when was your last meal? Where'd you sleep last night? Where are your
Yeah.
kids? How are you feeling? Like before she can even get to talk about treatment, she's talking about life and like what's going on
Yeah.
in life that has you where you are. And also when we got so many calls over the holidays for people asking for help.
Yeah.
Help us pay my rent. Can you pay my phone bill? Can you pay my light bill? Can you pay the heat? Can you buy the birthday party for my kid? Like so many things. And that is not what we do. That is not our core. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
We're in crisis, but they were stressed out, not because of their cancer, but because
No.
all the stuff, because the responsibilities as a mom, as a grandma, as a whoever, they don't go away,
Yes.
right? As a
Yes.
mother, they don't go away because you have cancer. They're still there. And you're
Absolutely.
still trying to cope and deal with all these things in your life that cause stress without cancer, right? And
Absolutely.
then you add
Absolutely.
cancer to that and you're like in a mess.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. We see a lot of like relationships, whether it's with your spouse, your kids,
Right.
different expectations, just uncertainty about whatever's happening in life. So because
Yeah.
the problems aren't cancer related, what we did here at Collaborative Cancer Care, we started something called Cafe Conversations, where
Cafe
we meet.
conversations. I love that.
Yeah, we meet every Monday at 12 p.m. on Zoom, and it's really talking about life development because, as individuals, we all, whether you have cancer or not, have to learn how to regulate ourselves. We do a lot on emotional intelligence, talk about stress management, but it's really all about personal development. What can you control, shifting your mindset, managing self,
I want to
managing
come to that. I
expectations.
want to come to
Yeah,
that.
I'll send you the link. You can go to
Okay, hit
collaborativecancercare.com
me up.
and register. But we meet every Monday, and it's really just kind of, who are you? What do you want? What can you manage? How can you manage the different stressors in your life? So it's a really great forum, but and I don't want to poo-poo that some people do come and talk about their cancers, about not having information, lack of information, feeling powerless. So we do
Fear,
have those,
fear,
those
just the fear.
yeah, the fear. But a lot of it is just life. It's life, and then
Okay.
how do I fit this cancer into my life? Right?
Right, right, right. I wonder, and I remember thinking, I don't have time for this. Like, what is this? Like, when I first
Yeah.
got diagnosed, I ignored it for 3 days. Like,
Yeah.
literally, you would tell my doctor, "Can I call you back?" Because I had to give a speech the next day. I like
Yes.
I hadn't written yet, and like I was thinking about what I had to do, and then I'm like, well, I can't die right now. I got what am I? How am I going to take care of my kid? Who's going to
Yeah.
pay the tuition? You know what I mean? Like so you start to think about all the things in your life that are affected,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
the fears and the anxieties and none of that stuff even helps you heal. So,
No, it doesn't. It
but
doesn't. And I think it's important to really define like what is stress. And,
okay,
and, and
great,
I want
great.
to I want to make it very clear that stress is a personal phenomenon. It's your lived experience. Everyone experiences stress differently. And I like to talk about capacity when I talk about stress, because you had a stressful day today, but maybe, example, if you had more capacity, what happened today wouldn't have stressed you out. So really understanding your capacity for stress. But what stress is, my definition of stress is really our perception of what's happening or what's required of us, or not being able to meet the demand of the person thing. But it's really our perception. So that's why like stress management is so wonderful, because we have control over our perception, right? So
So
that
say that
managing
again. I'm putting it in the chat. Our
yeah.
perception
Yeah,
of of, of what's
it,
going
it,
on around
Yeah,
us.
it's our perception of, what's going on around us. Do we have the resources to meet the demand of people, situations, things? But it's really what we bring on ourselves. If and that's why, you hear this saying no is a complete sentence, which it is, but sometimes we feel obligated to like explain ourselves.
Right.
But it's the perception of the overwhelm. So that's why in Cafe Conversations, we focus in on self, because how can you regulate self to shift perception? How can you regulate self to advocate for yourself, right? So there's a number of things you can do, but that is what stress is. And one thing I always ask, Ricky, and I think this is so funny, is who taught us about stress? Who taught us about stress management? We didn't talk
Nobody,
about it at the dinner table,
nobody.
right?
No, you have stress. Well,
Right.
Wendy, I didn't believe in stress. When I got sick and my navigator said you are so stressed out. I said, I don't
Mm,
believe in stress. Stress is for wimps.
yeah.
Stress is for out.
Yes.
And my younger sister used to call me and say, I'm so stressed out, I can't. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Not go to work? Not feed the kids?
Yes.
Shut up. What
Yes.
are you gonna do
Yes.
about it? What are you gonna do? Like it was almost like I accepted it as part of my life that I didn't even label it because what are you gonna take away?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think it's great now when I see my daughters, especially my older daughter with my three babies, saying, I'm taking a vacation by myself to
Yes.
Dubai. Mom, can you come watch the kids? Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm out. I need a minute. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I thought that I am now I would never have done that. Like, you know what I mean? I did it like
Yeah.
very infrequently for a minute. But I mean, she will say, I need to manage my health, my own, I need some
Yeah.
self-care. I need to do all these things. And my kids are going to be fine. You know what I mean? And we're
Absolutely.
fine because the grandma comes over, but W saves the day, but still, or whoever, but she will accept the fact that she needs to a minute to take care of herself. Whereas I didn't
Yeah.
take the, and maybe is that why I got cancer? Did I do that to myself?
Yeah, possibly. And then that's the thing too, like even thinking about that, like, did I do it myself? Like that's something that's like a internal stressor, that internal
Yeah.
recording in your
Right,
mind.
right,
And
right,
that's the thing. So like, and there's two type of stresses I like to talk about. You have those external stressors, like people that you can't
right.
control, right?
Or you can
So
get rid of them like I did.
Right? Right. Oh, tell us, Ricky. Yes, I love when you go down that list. Tell us. Tell us.
No, no,
The
no, I
husband.
just
Tell
said
us about
my husband. No, but no, you know what? I had to learn, I had to find my trigger, and my navigator helped me find it. She said, "How many times a day do you either think or say the word asshole?"
Yeah.
So I don't say it a lot, but in my head,
Yeah.
if I think it, woo, you're
Yes.
done. You're done. And that's my trigger now. Even now, to this day, if I think that word about you, I gotta find another way. See you, love you, bye, gotta go.
Yes.
The
Yes.
trigger for
Absolutely.
that's how I figure what's stressing me out. So yeah, I did lose my husband of 30 years and my business partner of 10 years. And
Yep.
I quit my job and moved changed my whole life. I quit my job life and started a new one. I don't suggest doing that to everybody all at one time and when you're on chemo. But I mean, I think that I had to figure out how to save myself. I had to figure out
Absolutely.
what was going to shut down the stress that I didn't even realize I had or wanted to
Yeah.
admit to. And when I had that awakening, then it gave me freedom.
Yeah, yeah. But I
to
think
make
it's very important for people to do inventory in their lives to see what or who's in my life that I need to maybe put to the side, you know? Who's causing the stress in my life? Because sometimes it's the people closest to us and we don't take time to do inventory to clean shop, even if it's temporary, maybe or permanently. But
Right.
we feel an
And some of
obligation.
them you can't get rid of, but some of them you can.
Go take a break.
Or or take a break,
Yeah.
or manage the time you spend with them,
Yes.
or control how you interact with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially the family members. But sometimes you gotta like let it go.
Yeah, yeah, and
Let
that
it
and
go.
that's so true. People don't do inventory, so doing inventory to see what, who you can, part with or who's causing you or what's causing you. Because sometimes we put the stress on ourselves, we
We
feel an
do. We do. I
obligation.
know. Yeah, we feel obligated to do this. And I did. I felt obligated to take
Hmm.
care of my husband. I felt obligated to be my business partner. I felt obligated to people who were draining me. Like
Yeah,
give them
yeah,
something. And then I created this monster where they expected it from me. And
hmm,
so they felt entitled to have these things that I was giving that I didn't really want to give, but I sort of felt forced into it, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
like a vicious cycle of them, you sort of give and then they take, and then you give more and then they take more. And then you've like, well, wait a minute, I don't really want to be doing this. But then they're like, well, you gave this to me last year. Why can't I have it now? Right. So
Right,
you
right.
have this sort of vicious cycle of giving and taking to people. And if you're innately a giver, it's really hard to break that cycle and say,
Hmm.
cold turkey, stop. But you know what helped me a lot with it, Wendy? And I don't want to always say that, going to the church is the way going to the church and something you need to do your spirituality. Therapy is different and you need both, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but my pastor told me you're blocking their blessings
Mm, mm,
by you doing and taking, caring and giving and whatever. You're not letting God work on that other person, and you're blocking a
mm.
blessing for them. And that's what helped me. And then I went back to the psychiatrist and said, okay, help me understand this and what this really means.
Yeah.
But I realized that letting go of them was really what they needed.
Yes. Yeah,
As much as they
absolutely.
did, right?
Right, right, and then creating space
Therapy,
for
like you go
yourself.
get some therapy for yourself,
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
and that's what like, when people are diagnosed with cancer, I always say, like, "This is the time to reinvent yourself." That whole reinvention,
I did. I
let
did. I
reinvent
did.
yourself, set those
Started a new
expectations,
life.
those boundaries.
Yeah. I started a new life. I like recreated everything. Like this is
Yeah,
my new normal, my new, I hate those words, but my new thing. I just said nothing from the past holds water. It's all like, okay.
right? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's so important. And everyone talks about like this self-care, but that is self-care. What we're talking about here is self-care. How do you take
Yeah.
care of yourself? How do you maintain or achieve mental stability? Because it all starts in the mind. It all
Yeah.
starts in the
So
mind.
we'll talk about that, Wendy. What is mental stability? What is is that peace of mind? What is that like? What does that feel look like? Like, what are the five senses of mental stability?
Yeah.
Like, what people know? Because I think some people don't know they're stressed, don't know they have mental stuff. They need therapy. They don't know it because
Yeah.
they're stuck in their normal
Yeah.
of, and I wasn't until I was sort of elevated out of it that I could look back and see like, oh my goodness, what was I in? Because it's your normal to be
Yes.
30
Yes.
things a day, right? So how
Yeah.
do you know? Like, what does that
Yeah.
mean? You know, how do I evaluate myself?
Yeah, mental stability, my definition of mental stability is when you can really hone in on you, your gifts, and really provide that to the world. Hone in on your purpose, your goals. It's not the worry. When you're worried, you're stressed, and you're in depression and anxiety, you can't do anything. It has you hostage. Mental
Right.
stability, being able to sleep at night, being able to
Mm,
calm the mind, right? So stress is inevitable. We all have stress. We're going to be stressed, but can you bring yourself down? Can you relax? Can you lean into the things that light you up? Right? What are those things that light you up? Do you know? Do you remember? When was the last time you visited those things? That
I
is
love
mental
that. Can
stability.
you
Is being,
lean into things, the things that light you up?
yeah, lean into that joy. What is joy to you? When was the last time you felt that sense of joy? That is mental stability because the world is crazy. You turn on the news, it's crazy, but can you bring yourself down? Can you balance yourself, so to speak? So that is definitely mental stability. It's bringing yourself down. That whole regulating your mind, regulating your body.
Yeah, it's
Um,
almost like there are always going to be stressors. You're always going to
there's
have the,
always going to be
yeah,
stress.
they're always, so can you, like, what's sort of the bounce back from a stress? Is that what you're saying? Maybe like, so can
It's
you
kinda like
like,
resilience. It's kind of like resilience when you talk about bounce
yeah,
back, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's resilient because it gets to a point when, and that's where, when we are in chronic stress, it leads to mental health. It leads to the depression, the anxiety, the insomnia. There's even studies looking at chronic stress and dementia or Alzheimer's, right? So it even leads to physical ailments, right? Like the diabetes, the high blood pressure,
yeah.
gastric ulcers. So it makes you sick. Chronic stress makes you sick. So it's realizing your capacity or your limit, and when you have to do something, whether it's therapy, whether it's assessing relationships, whether it's setting boundaries, whether it's gaining more information, whatever it is, can you honor that and bring yourself back down to things that really matter to you? One thing I talk about, with our clients are your values. What are your values? Regardless if you have cancer or not, what you have values. What are they? When was the last time you revisited them? Do they guide you? Are they your anchor? Right. So those are the things that will bring you that mental stability that you are still, whether you have cancer or not, being diagnosed with cancer, you still have purpose. You still have value. You still have something to share with the world. Lean into that. But if we're up here in stress and anxiety and depression and all these things, it's going to be really hard to do that. It's going to be really hard
You
to
know,
do
I
that.
have, I have several friends that, that have depression, experience depression, and they'll say that. And it's really hard for me to understand it. And I try really hard to be patient, understand it, but they'll like lie in bed and have no contact with the world for 3 days a week.
Hmm.
And I've seen them do it many times, almost like cyclical.
Yep.
Like I have one friend that does it monthly. So, and it's hard for me to not say, get up. What are you doing? Get out of the bed. Like, what is so bad? You have a great life. You have a lovely family. You have a beautiful home. You have all the food you want. Your house is not burning down like you live in LA. You
Hmm.
have cancer. You don't have anything wrong with you. Like, and so I had to learn, I'm still learning to say it's not causal. Like, I mean, it's not like I don't know what causes them to like fall into this depression and then not want to deal with the world for 3 days, where they just sort of give in to being sad and being alone and being in bed or whatever those things are and not
Yeah.
wanting to fix it and not wanting to fix it. And maybe because I'm a fixer, but it's
Yes.
hard for me
Yes.
to understand that sort of state of mind. And I think they can't help it, right? I mean,
Yeah, so depression is a real thing where people do feel withdrawn, and people suffer from depression from childhood. But depression, it can be a chemical imbalance, right? Where they may need medication to help them. They may need a little bit of therapy. With depression and any other mental health diagnosis, I always say it's important, one, to recognize it, and two, to get help. So whether it's a therapist, a psychiatrist, a social worker, and you don't
Yeah.
have to do it alone, right? Really find someone who's not going to judge. But these are real things that they remove you from the world. They remove you from all those things I was talking about: joy, purpose, values, all those things.
Well,
But
yeah, it seems
depression,
like when you let, yeah, you can let it overcome you,
mhm,
and it does remove you from joy. So it's almost like, how do you get out of it? How do you elevate yourself? How do you bounce back when you're there?
yeah. Well, you need help
It's not, well, the word
sometimes.
I was looking for before is it's circumstantial. It's not circumstantial. It's not because you do have a nice house and a nice home and a nice family and all these things in your favor. So why are you sad?
Right, right.
It's not about that. It just
No,
happens because of that, you know?
it's not
That's what
about that. 'Cause sometimes the people with all of those things are more depressed than
I know, right?
Um, but
Right?
but but yeah, so depression is a real thing that many people can't just get out of or bounce back from. Where you may need medications to balance neurotransmitters, you may need therapy. Sometimes it's even genetic. You know, genetics definitely
Really?
play a role in mental health. Yeah, plays a role in mental health. It plays a role in how we handle stress. It plays a role in our stress capacity. Yeah, yeah. But it's knowing that, and then what do you do about that, right? Because there's some people who are depressed, are anxious, they know it, but they don't wanna take medication. They don't wanna have any therapy. They don't wanna try any integrative interventions. So, some people, that's just their baseline. They want to be withdrawn. They want to, kinda,
Kind of
be by
wallow in it,
themselves.
live in it. Yeah. And then there are
Yeah.
people who probably self-medicate. Hello.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes.
So what does that look like?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I was saying, like that capacity. So think about someone who has a history of depression that's not treated, like, your friend you mentioned, and then they get cancer on top of that.
I
That's
couldn't
only
even,
going to be amplified. Those behaviors are only going to be amplified. And you could really say that person's kind of removed from the world. And then what about the family? Do they have kids? Do they have, friends, husband, like, do they have a spouse? They kind of remove themselves. And here we always focus on quality of life. It's like, what's your quality of life and everything you're doing or not doing?
right, right. What are you not doing? And almost like to me though, is it a choice? Do you have a choice? If you're depressed, you have to like when I was sick, I used to wake up every morning saying, today I'm gonna choose life. And
Hmm.
that's back to the place of getting divorced and quitting my job and changing my life, but because I chose life,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
chose life over whatever was happening. This is gonna make me choose life, right? Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you
Wow.
said something very important, is control. Some people feel like they have a lack of control, whether it's
Yeah.
a cancer
Oh
diagnosis,
yeah. You don't have control.
powerless and in
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
but we all have control. It's our perception, right, of
Mm.
what we can control. Anytime I do an exercise, I have people like list out like what are their stressors, like, for everyone watching, what are your stressors? List them, put them on a piece of paper. Many of those stressors are external. We can't control them, right? We can just control how we
Right. Right.
interpret those stressors.
Right.
But if you
Right.
have internal stressors, those are where you could do work on. Those are things that are happening internally, like your thoughts, your beliefs, how you're living your life. So figuring out like what bucket are these stressors in, and really, what do I need to do to manage this? What can I do to manage this? And realizing when you don't have control over, you can't manage everything. You can't manage people for
Right.
sure,
Right. You can't
right?
manage.
So,
Right. Right. So what can you manage? What can you control? You know?
right, right.
And when I did quit my job, I didn't really have any money. I didn't really know what was going to happen, but I felt like secure enough to be able to do that. And sometimes
Hmm.
you don't. You know, like what do you feel secure about? Like at what point are you making a decision that could affect your family that you can't bounce
Yeah.
from or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wendy,
absolutely.
Dr. Wendy, you said you had five things, five solutions.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
are your,
So
what's number one? Are
yeah,
you,
so number one is practicing open communication, establishing your boundaries, and really seeking resolutions to things that are disruptive in your life. So really, and that kind of goes into the conflict because I kind of broke them down into conflict, like in relationships, but really opening your mouth and talking, letting people know what it is that's bothering you, setting your boundaries is so important. Number
letting
two
people know? And
is,
that's really good. Stay on that one for a minute
mhm,
because that's really hard sometimes.
mhm,
Letting people know. I mean, that's, and I think that's a hard thing for women, you know, because we want to be the superheroes. We're wearing that stupid purple cape
yeah,
that passed down from your great grandmother, right? And we just don't say no. I mean, my motto is no is not the answer, it's how. But
yeah,
and but that works most of the time. But I have to like, it's hard to say, tell people, yeah, no, you know that mac and cheese I made for you every Monday for the past 4 years. I don't want to make it anymore. I'm sick of that. You know, like, or I can't do
yeah,
it anymore. It stresses me out. Or you because the stuff that we've done is so inbred in what we do and what the expectations people have of us. That's the hard part because I think as women, it's hard to disappoint people that we love or that could be just a pain in our butts. But we've been doing this thing for them forever and it's hard to stop it because
yeah,
what's going to happen to them when you stop it? Well, you know what? They're going to make their own mac and cheese. Teach them how
yeah.
to, you know, or they're going to go to Panera, you know, like, you know what I mean?
Right,
So I'm
right,
gonna
right,
find a
right.
way to do it. But I think that's a hard step sometimes to say, you know, to set those boundaries. And
It really is. It's not easy, but just like anything else, practice makes perfect. And one thing I will say, in relation to all of these solutions we're going to kind of review, is it's important to be in a community, like the community you have, Ricky, being among women who are supporting you, right? Being part of
yeah,
support groups, hearing other people's stories, what worked for this person, and taking
yeah,
small
yeah,
steps, right?
right, right,
It's
right,
not going to happen
right,
overnight, but I call
right,
them micro shifts can make a
right.
huge impact, you know? But we
Mm.
have to do scary things sometimes in order to get where we need to be. Think about the mental stability.
Yeah, yeah. You have to do, we can do hard things, but you have to do hard things sometimes.
Absolutely.
You can do hard
Absolutely.
things. Okay, I'm just taking notes here in the chat. Okay, number two. Are you ready
Number
for number?
two, yeah, number two is around uncertainty and thinking about, focus on what you can control and really practice things that ground you, that bring you back to your baseline. Really get to know your baseline. But what can you control? Everything that's going on in your life right now, everything that has you stressed out, what is it that you can control?
Yeah,
Really be clear on that. Really be
yeah,
clear on that.
be clear about that. Be so you can't control your treatment plan necessarily. I mean, you have some degree of control. Um, you can't control your hair falling out, but guess what? You can go just shave it off. That was one of the
Yes.
big pieces of advice I got was just go cut it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
let it take over. You go take control of that and get rid of it. It's gonna,
Yes.
right? Trying to think of another good example for when you can take control of your cancer.
You
Um,
can control who's on your team.
mhm.
You can control in terms of understanding, like, you need clarity on what's happening. You can control that, but again, it goes back to one is speaking up, saying I don't understand or I need more information.
Yeah, yeah,
Under Yeah, so you can control that. um you can control your thoughts,
yeah,
right? You can control that. You can control your activity, who you surround yourself with.
Okay, your thoughts, your activities. But when I talk to depressed people, they'll say they
Hmm.
control their thoughts.
And yeah, so I wanna definitely preference this. If you have a mental health diagnosis, these things may be very hard because many times those diagnoses are associated with an imbalance, right? And chemicals in our brain.
And then
So
you need
seeking out
medication
therapy,
or help.
seeking
Yeah,
out medication
yeah,
management,
yeah, yeah,
integrative ways to manage it is
yeah.
so important.
And that's control.
Yes,
Like
it
I'm
is.
gonna take control of how I feel by getting the
Yeah.
help that I need,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So getting help is a control opportunity, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
okay, cool. Great, great, great. All right, these are all really good. Good.
Yeah, the next one is prioritizing tasks in our lives and responsibilities and reevaluating them, then prioritizing them.
So
Uh,
evaluating, do you really need to be doing this task?
right, right, right. Right before a diagnosis, your life was X, Y, or Z. Maybe you were really stressed. You were doing everything, being everything, but really prioritizing like what is priority? What do I really need to be responsible for at this time in my life? And then
Yeah.
what comes with that is understanding how to delegate things. Because so many people, can I help you? What can I do? Oh, yeah, I have something for you to do, right? But knowing how to effectively prioritize your task and know how to effectively delegate.
Yeah, I'm just typing, so um I think that like where do you start with what tasks to take off your list? When I start thinking about all the things I have to do today and how do I delegate? And I never made my kids do chores. My
Yeah.
friend, I said, don't make your kids wash the dishes. Like use a dishwasher. Like I never made my kids do chores. To me, their chore was schoolwork. That was their job. Go get straight A's. But
Mhm.
um, but I think that, people even struggle with what stuff do you ask your kids to do? What thing do you ask what tasks can you take off your plate as a mom who's sick?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it depends what those tasks are, and you could think about it in terms of it's not asking the kid, it's really instilling responsibilities for different things. And it may not be the kids, it may be,
Right. I
the
mean,
husband, it
the
may be
husband,
the wife.
right.
And but doing it and not feeling guilty and always start small, not big, right? So you have to kind of get
Yeah.
used to it. But I think it's important to prioritize. You can go through Maslow hierarchy of life, right? Of
Mhm.
needs, but
Yeah.
it's really what do you need? What's going to sustain you physically,
Yeah.
mentally, right?
Focus on
Starting
what
there.
you need. I'm going to put focus on what you need, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I
What's
think
taken away from that?
sometimes we don't even know what we need
I know.
because
I
we're
know.
so deep in it, right? We're
Yeah.
so deep in it and we're so
Yeah.
used to making the mac and cheese. I keep you as an
Yeah.
example, right? We're so used to putting that dinner on the table every day.
Yeah.
We're not going to ask for help.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
maybe it's doing how, maybe making dinner can be a family activity, right? You don't
Right,
have to
right,
do it all yourself. You don't have to grate all the cheese yourself,
right,
right?
right, right, right,
So it's not always giving up, but maybe it's sharing responsibilities.
right,
So
right.
it's
Or
not
giving,
all on you,
yeah,
right?
and engaging
Or
someone else in the work with you, right?
yeah. Yeah, I'll do
Right.
drop off, you do pickup. When I usually do drop off and pickup, right? Of the children. Um, feeling obligated to,
Yeah,
go to a
yeah,
party. I don't feel like going to a party.
yeah,
Honoring yourself, you know?
yeah, yeah. Our Val Blackwell's in the comments here. She's our precious blessed that she's like our spiritual leader. If you need
Mhm.
a warrior, call us. Val's got you. But she's saying, we're afraid to ask for help, especially as Black women, and
Absolutely.
we need to be,
Absolutely.
we need to ask for help. We need to be say it's okay to ask for help. And my
Yeah.
friends showed up, nobody ever asked me because I knew I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there's a situation too, if you see someone who isn't gonna ask for help, just go bring the mac and cheese, bring the
Yes.
chicken, take the
Ab-
kids,
absolutely.
do the
And
laundry.
yeah, and to that, it's creating the community where they know it's okay, like your community, Ricky. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's a
preach
great
that,
community.
and people are in there doing, they're doing that in
Right,
small steps. And that's why community is so important. So one, you're not alone, and that people have your back as you ask for help, as you delegate things, and celebrating those wins with you.
right.
Because it's more stress. It's just it's more stress, but I think it's important to know too that it's hard to ask for help because that's a starting point.
Yeah, it's a starting point. It's saying, okay.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe it's like a baby step, you know,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
you can bring the vegetable and I'll make the meat, or like take
Yes.
half the meal or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just regroup and then we'll go on to four. So one is communication.
Yes.
Say what you need. Say what you need. Set your boundaries and let people know what you need, right? So
Yes.
that requires some self-assessment. Like, what do I really need? What do I really want someone to do for me? And like, I'm a cook, I love cooking, but I had to like say, you know what? I don't really feel like cooking today.
Yes. Yes.
The
Yes.
smell of the food is making me nauseous. I'm already nauseous from the chemo. Whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, I had to get there though and say, maybe I can give that up. Or, you know what? I really don't have the energy to go to the soccer game today.
Yeah.
So can I
Yeah.
call somebody to come pick up my kid? Right? Right.
Absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
even telling your boss, I'm not really feeling it today. I'm going to take
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
holiday. Everybody deserves one, right? So
Yeah.
communicate. All right. So number two is focus on what you can control. This is huge. What
Yes.
can you control? What can you take control over? What
Yes.
can you let go of? What can you be the leader in? All right. Ooh, this is powerful stuff, darling. Number three is reevaluating and prioritizing your tasks.
Yes.
And again, that sort of is a control thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Right? Because we're all these helicopter moms, control freak people.
Yes.
You can't do it as well as I can do it. Like, you know, if I were changing the baby's diaper, I would do
Yeah.
it this, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
I never accepted how my husband changed my kids' diapers. I always found fault with it, no matter what he did.
Yes.
No matter what
Yes.
he did with the pamper. I found fault with it. Right. You put the tape on wrong. You put the thing on upside down. It's not backwards. I always had a craving. Let the man change the diaper. Good grief. Whatever.
Yes.
You're going to put a new one on in 3 hours anyway. Right. But I was like,
Yes.
oh, freak, right? So, all right. So, where are we at four? What's four?
So number 4 is really how do you take care of yourself on a daily basis? What is
Mm,
one thing you're gonna do to take care of yourself? Is it exercising? Is it walking? Is it prayer? Is it journaling? Is it just time to come down from the day? But where do you create that space for yourself to really pour back into yourself during the day?
mm, that's a great one. Where
Yeah,
do
because
you,
that's important. We forget about that. We
yeah,
forget about that.
yeah. It's almost
And
when,
that's a way of control too, right? Because you have control over that on what you
right,
do
you
when you
do.
do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You have control
Um,
over your schedule.
yeah. And one thing I tell people is to put themselves on their calendar for 5 minutes for 5 days and find something you could do in those 5 minutes. Whether it's just meditation, whether it's reading a book, whether it's just sitting in silence, but honoring yourself. Let's do 5 minutes, right? If you could do the 5 minutes and you do 10 minutes and you do 30 minutes, but 5 minutes, can you honor yourself for 5 minutes a day? It's a little challenge I usually put out there, but and actually put it on your calendar, put yourself on the calendar because when, that time comes and your phone dings, right? And it's me time, you can honor yourself or you can, decline yourself or snooze
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
but
You
really
can,
take that time for yourself.
yeah. I belong to this amazing women's organization called the Bow Collective, and it's
Oh
all
yeah.
the badass Black women entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
so we founded our organization on February 2nd, 2022.
Hmm.
So this thing called the Bow Minute. So everybody had an alarm on their phone. So at 2:22, which is usually in the middle of something major, at least for me,
Yeah.
we take a pause. The alarm rings, and we started saying, "Oh, just take 2 minutes. If that's all you got, or however long you can take 2:22, whatever you got." And sometimes it's just, for me, it's a minute, but it makes me stop. So,
Yes.
and stop, and the alarm goes off. I'm like, here we go. And
Yeah.
I'm on a conference call, on a Zoom, whatever. But I stop. And then if
Yes.
I can't take a few minutes, then at least it's a reminder, and I'll come back to it. Like when I
Absolutely.
finish this call, I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to go. And you know what I do sometimes? I just go sit on the toilet.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't have to be. I just go sit in the bathroom, close the door with
Yeah.
the phone,
Yes.
out the
Yes.
phone, right? And just
Mhm.
say, I'm just going to take a minute and breathe. And
Yes.
so I think setting the timer, though, setting your clock for some time of day, whatever, do it for your time of your birthday, do it for anything, but just, it makes you think about it, that you've
Yeah.
gone through the last 8 hours, 4 hours, do whatever, how many hours, running like a crazy person, not thinking about yourself, doing all the
Yes.
stuff that you have to get done, whether it's treatment, whether it's the kids, your husband, whatever. So if you just force yourself into that 1 minute period or 5 minute period of time, what a luxury that is.
Yeah, or even coupling it with something that you already do. Like, what do you do every day? You brush your teeth, you take a shower. What can you do in that time? Can you think about, show gratitude to what happened the day before, or
Right,
what's
right.
coming, or,
Read a
look in the mirror and
read a
say something
scripture.
nice to yourself while you're
Yeah,
brushing your teeth
I
in the
love it. I
morning,
love
you
it.
know?
I
So
love it.
there are ways you can incorporate it where it doesn't feel like an extra thing to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep, yep. I think it's just you know, actually Dr. Valerie says, honor yourself. Honor
Oh
yourself.
yeah.
I
Oh
love
yes.
that, Val.
Honor
Yeah.
yourself.
Just take
Yes.
a minute, and I love it. Say something nice to yourself in the mirror. I love that.
Yeah. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are bold. You are
Yeah,
brilliant. You have
yeah.
purpose.
I love
The
that.
world needs me. They need my gifts, you know? Yes, I'm loved, like, yes,
Yeah.
all those things.
Tell yourself you love yourself. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
tell yourself I love you, right? And if you don't love yourself, we got to get you some therapy.
Yes, yes. And if you don't love yourself, say it anyways.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And also call us, right? Yes, do
Also
both.
call us. Right. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell yourself I love you. I love it. Um, I love it. So do something
Yeah.
nice for yourself. And we don't just, it's so hard to like, why is it hard? Why is this hard work? But let's do number 5, and then we'll talk about this sort of Black woman's
Yeah,
shield.
number 5 is filter information. I think in
Filter
the day of social
information.
media, we have access to so many things and so many people. We're in people's living rooms, bathrooms, we're everywhere, right? But filter the information you allow in your space, and I think your mental space. And really, because you don't want to get into comparison, or this person did that person did this, but filter the information. Think about what you need. What are you trying to work on? And where is that community that's going to help you work on that? Let that information in, but filter the information you
Mm.
allow into your mental space.
So let's think about that practically. How do you do that? Um,
So what who do you follow on social media? How much time do you spend on social media? Are you a part of any communities that have maybe programming that can help you with setting boundaries, communicating, loving yourself? Um, you know, It's really being tied or connected to things that are going to make a positive impact in your life.
Yeah.
But
So
we have
control.
control of that to control too. But being on social media and just strolling it and looking and we some of us know what's making us, depressed or sad or more stressed. Like you mentioned, the fires on, the West Coast. That is very stressful. Don't
Yeah.
sit and watch the news for 3
I
hours,
know. Yeah. I can't watch
you
the news.
know?
I can't watch it anyway, but I had to turn the California news off. It was
Yeah,
depressing. So yeah, turn the TV off, turn off the news. I'm putting this in here
yeah,
and
yeah,
focus on, right. Pick up something, a book that you want to read.
yeah, a book, you could listen to something, podcast, but think about what you wanna work on and where can you get that information or that inspiration to help you move towards that goal that's gonna,
Yeah.
bring you mental stability, you know?
Yeah. So seek inspirational information.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. All right. So four was how do you take care of yourself on a daily basis?
Yes.
And
How do you
then
take
five is
filtering
filter
information?
information, control
Mhm.
what you're interacting with, right?
Yes.
And I think we have to all just start with the assumption that when I first started doing Facebook, it was a happy place. It was like,
Yes.
oh, I had a baby or I did whatever. And it turned into this like tirade place where you go and like vent everything, tell people off, complain
Yes.
about each other. Like, you know what I mean? It was like a sort of an outlet for outbursts.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I had to back off from social media. I was like a Facebook geek. I had to back off. But
Yes.
I mean, we try at Touch to make it an information source
Mhm.
and an inspiration source. And so,
Absolutely.
to me, like I look at every post like, okay, what is this going to do for people? Or we're
Mhm.
not posting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Absolutely.
uplifting or educational or informational or giving them something they don't already know, then that's our sort of rule for it now. It's not a place to like have bad stories and tell people off and
Yeah. Yeah.
complain. It's really yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And Ricky, before we kind of go to the end, I do want to bring up something very important that I'm not sure
yeah,
many
yeah,
people
yeah,
know about.
yeah, 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 yeah. Take all
So
the time.
there's a theory out there called the minority stress theory. And I think this is very important for our audience tonight. But this is really psychological stress experienced by minorities that we deal with whether you have cancer or not. And it's really induced by prejudice, bias, and discrimination. So
Mm.
it's something that we have to be aware of that, looking at some studies, minorities have higher stress levels than their white counterparts. So our lives, our perception of things, our internal stressors are different because we experience the world differently, many of us.
You said three
So
things: induced by discrimination, racism, and what else?
bias,
Right.
discrimination, and prejudice, yes. Racial prejudice.
Yeah.
But it is a theory out there, and it's really how we experience the world um, as
Mm.
minorities. But that's just added. So, knowing that, we have to really manage our stress. Because I said at the beginning, stress is associated with mental and physical ailments on top of cancer, on top of, trying to control everything, on top of all of this, we have that underlying stress. So I just want people to be aware that it's a real thing and it causes real damage to us mentally and physically.
And it's this is science, right? Um, I mean, you have data to support the fact that discrimination and we see that in cancer too. Just
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right, is that causing cancer? Is discriminatory practices exacerbating your cancer diagnosis because you can't get the care that you need?
oh,
Um,
yes.
and I think because maybe at Touch we've been sort of pushing people to be aggressive with their doctors and ask for better care and demand better care. And I do that every day. Like ask, well, what do you think? Tell the doctor, what would you do for your family? Whatever, whatever, push, push,
Right.
push. But I think that that's making them feel like, gosh, did the doctor not give me the best care?
Hmm.
Did the
Hmm.
doctor not do the right thing by me? Should I change doctors? I think I don't want to create stress for people because we're making them question their doctors, but they should.
Yeah,
So
you
that
definitely
whole
should.
they could be getting discriminated about and not even know,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And that's why I always say, your medical team, you have a choice. And I think it's very important that you feel connected, right? Whether you like it or not, but you feel connected, you feel heard, you feel seen, right? You feel like you can ask your questions. Um, you should not be wrapped up in that they have 15 minutes or 20 minutes to spend. You need your questions answered. So many patients come here with uncertainty. They just don't know. No one's communicating with them. That creates more stress and anxiety. And that's something we're working on at Collaborative Cancer Care is educating oncology healthcare professionals on what patients need, what's going to
That's
help them with their
great.
mental health.
That's so great. That's
Yeah.
so great because we don't want to challenge, I mean, the doctors and you want to believe they have good intentions, but bias is bias is bias. We all have it, right?
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and we hope, yeah, that's why, when we talked to those Dartmouth medical students last year was so much, it was so great to see, we did
Yes.
a presentation for Dr. Mo's class at Dartmouth and just to see them like have energy around doing the right thing.
Yeah,
Bias
absolutely.
that we see from these older doctors, especially older white doctors, sorry. But it's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we have to we have to work at it. So for 1 minute, talk about the purple cape. So I think that that's, I mean, do we have any data that talks about why Black women have to be the superhero and like why we feel this sense of responsibility for the world? Do you think that?
Because we have to work harder, we have to, fight to be seen, because of the world we live in this America. We fight to be that. We fight to do and be all the things. We're working 3 jobs, taking care of 8 kids, you know, trying to get like, we're doing the most, right?
Yeah,
I think was it December? I was looking. There was this big initiative about Black women just need to rest, like sit down,
yeah, 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 yeah. Just sit down and
rest. Yes, rest. And we just and it's generational. Like I'll speak for myself. My mom worked, 2, 3 jobs sometimes. I hardly saw her in bed sleeping. I have that work ethic as well, but I know better. So we have to break that generational, I don't know if it's a curse, generational pattern, I
yeah,
would
yeah,
say,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we don't have to do and be all the things all the
Right,
time. There's a
right,
time when we have to rev up, right? And I think it's important of building community so it's okay. Or let me shoulder a little bit of
right,
that. Let me carry 70 of that today. You carry 30, opposed to
right,
just feeling like you have to carry 100 all the time. But it's important, like those relationships and communities that you're in are so important to know that you can let me hold that cape for you today or this week, right?
right. For you, girl, we get.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think it all boils down to it saying, I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to get a therapist. And that's where Dr. Wendy can help you. We can help you. Like, don't try to do it all. You can't do it.
yeah,
Don't try to, don't expect that you're going to be able to handle all this by yourself. And therapy is okay. Therapy
yeah,
is helpful. I think everybody should have one, starting probably at like 14, right? I don't know.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
With
yeah,
puberty,
yeah. I
right?
agree. I agree. Therapy is a conversation. That's how you can think of it. That's how you can frame it. It's a conversation.
Therapy is a conversation. I love that. But I think that we need to make it, it's okay to do it. It's okay to pay for it. If you can't
Oh
even
yeah.
get covered, it's okay to take that nail money, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Or that maybe not get your hair done, not to get the
Right.
braids, but it's worth it. I think that you know, it's gotta be, you're not gonna be better, your body's not gonna be better without your mind being better. Somebody just put their name,
Absolutely.
no matter what, the toll take on your mind, body, spirit, break the curse of every woman to everybody. And my friend Rhonda's saying it's a generational template. I'm
Yes.
looking at
Yes.
what your mama did as the right thing, right? That's so why.
Yes.
Your mama may have not done it the right way. And it's so funny because it took me a minute to accept that my daughter was going to do mothering differently. And there's
Mm.
Silk and does, so whether it's the apple pie, the bacon, the cookies, the how many pancakes, whatever. But she's like sets the boundaries and does all the things that I'm so admiring of as a grandmother,
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it's
That's
okay.
amazing.
Therapy is okay. It's okay to ask for help. All right. How do people reach you, my lovey?
Yeah, so you can go to collaborativecancercare.com and you can actually sign up for cafe conversations and come, hang out
Got
with
it.
us on Mondays at 12 p.m. Every Monday, we are there. And come join the conversation, or you can go to collaborativecancercare.com and book a consultation with me and we can have a conversation. I would love to get to meet you, know more about you, your family, where you are, and what you're working on.
And I've sent many people to Dr. Wendy, and she fixed them.
Yeah.
Drop
Yeah.
it all the time. But all I hear back is thank God for Dr. Wendy. Thank God for collaborative cancer care.
Wow.
So
Thank you,
so
Ricky.
she's here for you. We're here for you. If you can't find her, you know how to find her through me, Ricky at touchbbca.org. But we love you so much. We're so blessed to have you on our medical advisory board. And I'm gonna call you this week about somebody because I always do.
Yes.
And you always help and you always answer. And we're so blessed for that. So you guys, she's here, Dr. Wendy Garvin Mayo, collaborativecancercare.com. And she's a joy and she will help you. And it's okay to get a therapist. It's okay to take a,
Absolutely.
it's okay to, and this is bigger than self-care. This is health care. This is health care.
Absolutely.
This is health care. This is health care. Love you, girl.
Absolutely.
So
All
if
right. Love you, Ricky. Thank you.
Dr. Mo was here, she would say, we hope this was relatable, reliable, and real. We try to do that every week on blackdoctor.org. We thank Black Doctor for this lovely platform. We thank our sponsors and our supporters, and we love you guys. We're viewers. We think that we're so blessed to have you. And I know Mo and I were talking about last week, we're going to our year 5 in April. Isn't that crazy for Dr. Zen?
Wow.
We're so blessed to be able to talk to everybody every week. And it's one of my favorite things I do. So see you next week. Be
All right.
blessed. Blessed, love. See you soon, Dr. Wendy. Love you. Stay
All
warm,
right.
everybody, and pray for the people in California. Pray for them.
Yes, absolutely.
They definitely are stressed. Yeah. Pray for them. Let us know if you need help with that. Love you. Bye.